Sup, Pulsified. Yeah, I don't know how many people it's going to be too late for now, but Cat still shows as being online on Discord, but is away. So I don't know if she's going to still be awake or not, because it's going to be like 1:30 over there. Something like that. So Cosmo has already had a bit of a sneak peek at this thing as far as the changes that I made. I went back to just having one main engine, which has proven a little bit challenging. Mainly, I didn't realize how much less roll control you get with only one main engine, because the gimbals can't do your roll for you on Ascent. But I did a lot of resculpting of the underwing so that it actually, like, the wing is not directly at the bottom now, but I kind of made a belly pan for it. And these thrusters are probably going to burn off on every reentry, but they're like twice as powerful as the other ones, so that will get the ullage or ullage done a little bit easier. I think that's pretty much the bulk of the changes. Oh, and I also put Sevatrons on the main tank so I don't crash into it, because crashing into the main tank is never a good thing. And Cosmo, the thing I was asking you about with the RCS jets is this one in the nose. Let's see. I put one in the nose here. Well, it's not going to let me zoom in that far, is it? This guy here. So I'm using that for backwards thrust. Because that's kind of needed to be able to dock well. So that's hidden just below the surface in the nose. So I'm not sure if that's actually going to work or not, but I guess we'll see. No, I never took it to FAR yet because lazy. Well, I was in a rush. It took a couple of hours because this wing has like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. It's got like 12 pieces to it. Plus a few extra control surfaces. So the wing took about 3 or 4 hours to build this morning and afternoon. So that's why I'm so late, is because I had to rebuild the wing from scratch. And I relayed out a little bit of the cargo bay contents as well. Also, I moved the cargo bay behind because of the single engine. I'm using 2 tanks here instead of 1, and that made kind of the middle point more appropriate to put the docking port. So I moved the cargo bay behind, so the cab is now directly behind the cockpit, and then I moved a couple of the things inside here around, just to make it, I don't know, less cheaty and clippy, because some of the things were clipped together in an ugly way. So, and this is also now all one piece. So these tanks are now attached to the airlock. They're not attached to the firewall anymore. So this whole thing, you just pull it out and put something else in there. Yeah, that is kind of Murphy's law of thrusters, isn't it? If or things burning off, you get to keep the parts you don't need, and you lose the parts you do. But we'll see. It takes a little bit longer to launch now, but I did finally get these engines set up right, or at least properly symmetrical now. What I did was, instead of having the single engine on the outside edge, I put the single engine on the ventral edge, and that seemed to work better. But yeah, I got the action group set up now. I was really careful about what RCS ports are allowed to do what, so there shouldn't be any. You shouldn't really have to turn off any thrusters during re-entry, although I've never bothered to get this thing to re-enter, so I don't know if that's true. But Action Group 6 will shut down one booster engine on each side. Action Group 7 toggles the AJ-10 on and off in case you want it early. And oh no, why is it doing that? That's stupid. Was it were the engines smashing into the pad? Action Group 8. It's an HG3 now instead of a J2 because there's only one. So Action Group 8 will lock and shut down the HG3. Alright, I'm just going to scoot the whole thing up a little bit. I forgot to look, but does your pad still blow up at the beginning of every video and you just no longer show the explosions, or what? Yeah, whatever. It's a more exciting way to start the launch anyways, right? Oh, okay. That's weird. I have no sound for the engines. Another day, another bug, right? So because there's only one main engine, the trajectory is a lot has to be a lot loftier. It doesn't really like the more shallow thing that I was doing previously, so yeah, I wonder if any sounds work. None of the engine sounds work, but staging sounds work. It's weird. And I don't know if I got the angle of the HG3 correct or not. So it's entirely possible that this thing's going to be impossible to pitch control as soon as the boosters drop off. So that'll be fun to find out. And the two engines that I'm going to shut off is the ones here on the ventral end. Also, I'm not sure why, but there seems to be a little bit of roll because I'm sure not lined up straight with the 90. Uh, Good question. It's an HG3 sea level. Maybe I should make it the other one, but it might be too high. Maybe. That was something that I didn't really check on because I haven't been using test flight. So it's entirely possible that this thing may have all the fuel to get to orbit and none of the runtime. And during this part of the flight, I do actually go ahead and cut the OMS engine on for a little tiny extra thrust. Yeah, so I might be setting it up for failure then if that's the case. Because it's... Oh, shoot, I forgot to throttle up again. Um, it's still got 11 minutes to go. Yeah. But yeah, this difficulty of keeping the roll level is also making me second guess the decision to go to a single engine. And it ends up, just because it doesn't have the TWR for it, the apoapsis goes really high and then it comes back down. I guess it's kind of like what a Delta 4 would do, since the upper stage on the Delta 4 is like really pathetic TWR. I did get the angle good though. The first time it was having to push the nose towards the tank. The second time I tried it, it was having to pull the nose away from the tank, and this time it's pretty much right down the middle. Yeah, apart from the roll that just won't stop. Alright, so do the numbers favor us for reaching orbit? Well, I still have the OMS running. I'll turn that off and see. So 5,000 and 2,500. Might be a little short. I mean, the OMS will have enough to get it there if all else failed, but it will have a completely empty orange tank at the end. Uh, Current TWR, I think, is this one. Yeah, it's 0.87. I'll shut off the OMS again and just ride this HG3 for a while. But we're already past 10 minutes of flight. So I guess that means I made a mistake. Yeah, it's a big difference between just watching the pretty rocket fly and actually being able to read the readouts. Just now heading 4 kilometers a second. So it's looking worse and worse for being able to hit orbit on the orange tank. Of course, cosine losses are a thing, so it's probably not helping the cause too much, being nosed up so high. It's sad because I actually managed to get the RCS balance pretty well on this thing, or at least according to the tool I did. Yeah, so I've still got some like sub-assemblies that I can throw together to quickly get a slightly more updated version of this thing, but with the twin engine back end. Because the wings are attached to this tank here. The wings attached to that one. And that one's not there when I use the pants tank because all of this from the cargo bay rearward is new for the single engine design. And because that's different, the whole damn thing is longer. So this whole wings set that I made is kind of based on the extra length of the single engine one. So to get this to work on the twin engine might require some tweaking because like the length would have to shrink a little bit. At least to some extent it does. There, I got rid of that thing really well, huh? That's in time warp, but still, that's a pretty good rate of departure from the tank. In kind of a hopeless situation at the moment. Yeah, so screw that. Yeah, so basically this probably, I don't know, this chin section may still have a little bit more reach that it could do lengthwise. This is all one big long piece, so I could just shrink it there some and maybe shrink the root of this section. But in order to get everything working, it was quite a bit of finagling because I wanted to make sure that the wing didn't actually protrude into the cargo bay at all. So I've got like, that's not really gonna work. So I've got that piece back there is digging deep into the tanks, and then this section right here is really narrow, and then this section here right in front of it digs deep in because it's on the curved part. And then this was a pain in the ass to get in because this is like a compound miter test or a compound miter saw cut because it had to be like rotated on multiple axes to get it into the right spot. So it would take a little bit of work to get this wing design onto the shorter body. Also, I don't know how to I couldn't figure out how to do the configuration for the parachutes. Where's the configuration panel for that in the vehicle assembly building? Because I couldn't find the thing for the parachutes. But let's see if this works. It's acting like it's firing. Okay. So maybe that'll work. But yeah, we can see if this thing will come back in one piece. At least that'll possibly validate the wing design. Make sure those deploy okay without hitting anything. Yep. So I need to dump some RCS fuel then, because I don't feel like trying to re-enter it that heavy. There's none there, none there. Yeah, that thing's not making noise either. That's so weird. I didn't change any volume settings in the game. I just shut it down and loaded it back up again right before hitting stream. So I don't know why it's doing that or not doing that. The one thing I can do as a bit of a cheat just to get this thing, uh, get this wing on the shorter body is I could use the long cargo bay instead of the short one so that the overall length would be the same. The weight and balance would be a lot different, but it wouldn't require completely redesigning the whole wing just to get this thing testing again. Not that I have any real evidence as to whether this wing design is even better, it just looks cool. Yeah, could do. These two tanks, well, these three tanks, because there's a tank here too. These three tanks together have about the same tankage capacity as the pants tank, because this one is the low volume version, so it holds only about half as much. So if I underfill the fuel, then it could potentially work. All right, so we're light enough for entry, or at least what I hope will not be an embarrassing entry. All right, where are we anyways? or inside the planet. Hello, Africa. We might miss Africa just because I'm already too close. I have no idea what the balance is going to be like. So I have some in here. That's empty. Alright, I'm going to use the tank in here as the ballast if I need it. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get this tank as well, because there's no good angle of view to actually see it. The fuck is blowing up? Oh, that must have been the external tank. No, I want this. There we go. Oh, come on. What the hell? Did my mouse die? Yeah, hold on. Let me switch mice. I have a wireless mouse. The battery just died. That was pretty bad timing. I think that was my nose thruster dying. Yeah, the good thing though is that it charges using a cable, and I might be able to use it while it's charging if I can get the cable without knocking everything else over. Because for whatever reason, the other mouse, the laptop, like, it reads the movement of it really slow. The sensitivity is like shit, and I could barely even get the mouse to move around the screen. Yeah, so I think I can use this thing while it's charging. Yeah, that's better. You sure slowed down quick though, huh? Oh, and I did put the big landing gear on the back. So these are the ones that have tandem axle. So 4 tires per unit. Because of the fact that they're mounted a little bit higher up. I know why we slowed down quick. Because we weren't actually at full speed in the first place. There's still a minute or two into re-entry and already going under 5K is pretty good. But that's why I pump all the fuel to the back, because that keeps this in a range that I can actually control the thing. Because if I pump it forward, then it's going to need like maximum pitch just to keep itself nosed up like this. See? And then it's going to actually start going down because it can't maintain. I think that's part of some of the issues that you've had getting things to re-enter is that you were too nose heavy. And the only time I start to pump the fuel forward is if this goes below center, then I start to push it forward. Let's see if we can do a little bit of a turn. seems to be working. Yeah, entry went quite well after I got the mouse plugged back in right. I was gonna miss Africa because I was going kind of that way. I was gonna land in the water, but it did a high altitude turn pretty well. It didn't even suggest that it was gonna try and side slip or anything. Sometimes the tails behave, sometimes they do shitty stuff and try and flip you out. I still haven't figured out how to know. See, it's doing yaw that it shouldn't do the longer I hold the brakes. I just don't know if these control surfaces are really meant for that. It seems like maybe that's just something that we shouldn't be trying to do with them. Also, what does staging the thrusters even do? Because like they already seem to work. I don't know what is the meaning of them being in the staging menu. Like, I can stage them in, but they were already doing stuff. So should I just click disable staging on them so that they don't fill up this whole thing? Because in the VAB, I think I can tell it to disable the staging on those individual thrusters and just do it for all of them. All right. So now is when I'm actually going to start the fuel going back forward a little bit. Okay, so I guess that's kind of reasonable then, if it's just a cross version thing. Easy enough to test. You know, I guess if you're worried about testing things on your money save, that's one thing, but I can test whatever I want. It looks a little bit awkward with the great big landing gear on there. I guess I could tweak scale them down a little bit, probably. All right, so um, single engine Shuriken is great for transatlantic abort. So now we know. Yeah, it did we break anything? Decoupler burned off? How the hell did the decoupler burn off? Oh, that was that was after we jettisoned the external tank. Okay. Yeah, those survived. On the other one, when I had the wing all the way down at the bottom, they didn't like to survive. I don't know, maybe I got a bunch of extra insulation because there's like a pocket. This here is kind of like a pocket. So maybe the pocket helped it survive. And then I think this nose, the nose thruster died. That's it. I don't know why that's still pulled up. That's weird. Why does it think we need pitch up? Strange. Anyways, we're rolling a little bit. So, RIP, good. So this is the... Here, let me put the wing back on for a second. So translation was all pretty neutral. They were all less than 1/10 of a kilonewton meter. So, and that was assuming pretty much full RCS fuel load, because I figured that docking to the station is more important to have a good balance than leaving the station, because leaving the station you can just, you know, thrust down away from the docking port, and as long as you're not hitting the station, then who cares if it's completely balanced. All right. So I need this, I think. Now, how stupid is it going to look if I try and attach this? You had the chance to test its ability to survive stupidity, I take it. Yeah, so this is even remotely a good fit? No, not really. Oh, come on. It just wasn't fitting together right in that particular situation. Let's see. So that's still too far forwards. So this front gusset is supposed to just about line up with this cut here sticker. So about like that. So the modesty panel here might need a little bit of work. And that's kind of cutting in. I can fine tune it more later. I'm just trying to get the general idea here. Alright, so I need more port back here. is there a thruster hidden inside here? Yep, there is. Alright, so those two that I just moved probably need to move back now. Yep. Figures. Come on, click on stuff. So what more dockings? Are they the dockings that I was talking to you about earlier? To make everything happy and nice. Aft. Alright, I'm gonna call that reasonably well balanced. With 35 minutes of fuel. That's not what I want to do. Disable staging. So where did you end up putting that tank? Did you just like kind of haphazardly attach it to the side somewhere now? Yeah, well enough, I guess, because it's not like you're limited by the life support capacity in any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, that's right. That's why I left these little horns sticking out. All right. Yeah. I'm probably not gonna do another flight today. I may have to just postpone the actual mission until I could potentially do tomorrow or maybe just later on. All right. Yep, I appreciate it. I guess I'll go ahead and cut the stream off, and then I'll probably test this offline a little bit and make sure it's kind of working, and then we'll see. So see you later.